Splitgate may be popping off right now, but it wasn't always the case.
This play button doesn't even work. What am I in? See you tomorrow for a barrage of brand new games on the market. I can't wait to check Steam.
The Splitgate open beta has happened. It's available on PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. And it's gone from a game in 2019 that had a big popularity, people like Dr. Disrespect, Summit, and Shroud playing the game, bringing more and more people involved and word of mouth spreading. And it had a peak of about 11,000 players, and it was going really, really well and people were having fun. Eventually, development slowed down, and you'll see that not everything was quite rosy.
They have their spawns dialed in, man.
Dude, I feel like I can just spawn and start getting lasered.
This guy sucked. Hey, good games today, guys. See you tomorrow for a barrage of brand new games on the market. I can't wait to check Steam and to see a shitload of brand new fucking content.
My only problem with this game is they have shitty maps. No, maybe not everybody would classify them as word shitty, but they're just not my favorite. Like, they try to focus on the vertical aspect so much that it just makes a lot of the fights weird.
It's very lackluster. It's a very simple game, and it being that simple, they should be able to get all the quality of life shit done. You know, it should it should look better, it should fucking run better, it should fucking sound better. It's very, very early, everything, and you can definitely tell. But like once the game is like polished up, it could be kind of cool. Like I said, this game's only fun for like an hour or two, and then you're just like, all right, man. Fan of all these weapons on the ground. I think that's really silly. Like so it works in like a game like Quake because the whole game is about like maneuverability and fucking getting HP and getting shields and fucking constantly staying like better geared than the opponent. But when it's just like, yeah, you know, there's a sniper rifle and then there's like a rocket launcher and a shotgun. It's like, why, man? Why? Just get rid of that shit. Just have it base and that's it. That shit's unnecessary.
Summit1g was kind of enjoying himself, but eventually stopped streaming it. Shroud thought the game was very basic, apology style game that needed really finishing. The audio wasn't great, the maps were very basic. Dr. Disrespect, again, he found kind of similar problems, and he ended up actually uninstalling it after a tournament because the problem with these arena games, it's all about the skill. There's no side objectives, there's nothing else to do, and arena games can get quite brutal. And when you're up against a stacked, sweaty tournament and you're getting drilled down and team shotted by a load of people, which is something that Halo's formidable for, although people say they want super high skilled gameplay, that's not the case because super high skilled gameplay is Quake. But Quake isn't that popular compared to your Warzone because people want a mixture of fun, and usually an arena shooter isn't very fun. You are just going to be dominated by the better player consistently, which to some will sound like an amazing experience and to others will sound like torture, because if anyone's been playing it for any length of time, you're going to step in there and get completely dominated. Number two, there wasn't a lot of funding. As you can see, Dr. Disrespect's initial reaction from the skins available and other players as well was, these skins are pretty trash.
What the hell? What is this guy? What is this thing? Are we playing Trials? Motorcycle Trials? These have to be the ugliest skins I've ever seen. I don't...
And as a free-to-play multiplayer game coming in, you need money, and if your skins and your cosmetics ain't selling, you're going to be struggling to make development to keep marketing up. And if marketing and development stops, no matter how big your game is, it will die off because there's so much competition. You have to constantly remind players, hey, we're here, come and play us. However, after some time, funding happened. They got the beta out and they've done a fidelity update. This is something that Shroud talked about, so we'll now show the fidelity update of the game. See right here, the maps have been fully re-arted. The level has definitely gone up, and the developer themselves says that the new standard is a map called Lava World, and they aim for all of their maps to be just as good as that. And you can see textures redone, portal system cleaned up. Just generally, the level of fidelity across the board has gone up. There has been skin reworks. There has been just generally a higher level of production, something that you would expect to see from a proper working game. And I think this is really going to help the game. But sort of massively ramped up its quality in fidelity, and just all around the board quality in the game itself. And that's a big thing. Quality, quality, quality. It's a thing that the dev team keep trying to stress, that if they think something isn't up to the standard, they get rid of it. Now, the interesting thing about this game and how this works is it uses a non-Euclidean world. Now, a non-Euclidean world is kind of how portals work. And you'll notice here as this guy walks through this room, there are actually more rooms than you think if you go back and recount. Notice here there is a teapot and there is this pillar. Now if you go round the pillar, you'll notice that it changes into a little monkey skull, but you're in a different area, and you will notice that the two worlds are combined. And this is how the engine sort of works. And now you go around the post again and it's a rabbit, and these are different areas combined in the same small area. The things they'll be able to do with portals, I think, in the future, such as this. Now when you go down the hill, you're going down the non-Euclidean world and you get to it, you've actually gone up the hill. And you can then go up the hill again to another place inside of the same tunnel. So I think this game has an incredible sort of engine premise that is going to allow portals and maybe new maps and new things to form that we simply haven't seen. So through the tunnel, our perspective is going to change. We're just not quite small enough to get through. So if we go around once more, you'll notice that our perspective shifts again, even though we're in the same world. And all of a sudden, we can now fit inside of this tunnel. And this is what is so cool about this non-Euclidean world, and how all of this stuff comes together and how we've seen it in Portal. So this is the premise of Splitgate, and I think as time progresses and they get more and more fun and funky with their engine, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff, and this is kind of how the Portal technology is going to work in the game, and it's a very, very cool concept. So for those that don't know, as Splitgate's word of mouth says, they are a small dev team with 4 engineers and have had over 500,000 downloads since the start of the beta. Now this is going to cause some huge problems. All of a sudden, when you have 32,000 concurrent players trying to get into the game, their studio simply isn't ready. Now I've been a part of launches that are not ready, and a poor launch can completely kill the game. So Splitgate are very, very hesitant to kill their own game, having just re-rose back up to fame. So what ended up happening was they actually reached the physical limitation of their database, basically, and 65,000 concurrent players across, all of their platforms. They couldn't get any more people in. It didn't matter how many tweaks or optimizations they did, they just couldn't get enough people in. So until they got rid of that limitation, it was going to be crashing, it was going to be servers up, servers down. It's like your number one impression is how smooth the game is when you first download it. If it is constantly going up and down all week, people will just get that in their mind. Oh, that's Splitgate. That's that game that goes up and down all the time. I'm not interested in that. It doesn't matter how much visual fidelity they've put into it. It doesn't matter how small your working force is. The kind of sad reality is even if you are a development team with 4 engineers and you've blown up, the reality is the consumers don't care. The consumers just want to play the product. And if the product isn't ready, they won't be happy. It doesn't matter how nicely you put it across in, say, development streams and you explain all of this. The kind of brutal reality of the internet is when a group of consumers aren't happy with the quality of your servers or product, they won't play the game. It sucks because there should be more understanding that these dudes in the office just trying their very, very best to get the game up to speed. But again, the sad reality is most people don't care. They don't follow dev streams. They don't follow Twitter updates. And all they see is a downloaded game that is simply never online. We're talking about servers going offline. Servers keep going offline till Friday. Servers offline again. The worrying thing for Splitgate is I know how volatile the internet is. And one of the reasons the game struggled to begin with was when it launched, it was set to launch on a certain date, and 10 minutes before the game launched, they actually changed their launch date. and it kind of killed a lot of hype. One of the critiques was, surely you knew your game wouldn't be ready 10 minutes before the launch of the actual supposed game. However, it's very, very just important to note that I think Splitgate are doing the right thing here. Splitgate are taking the game down until the game is ready. Now, what my advice would be for Splitgate is to take the game down fully until you are ready to serve a maximum capacity of that peak again. If your player base keeps feeling the same thing over and over again, they're going to leave, and it's going to be very, very hard for a small game that's going to be now competing with Halo up and coming to regain this momentum. So what they did to fix this is they got a ton of funding, which is brilliant. They got $10 million because of all of the popularity to help fix the game from a capital firm. I've seen games fill niches, such as Outriders. There's like a time in gaming where there's a little pocket of space and your game just happens to fit right in it. Your game is ready, it works, people are able to access it quickly, such as Fall Guys. And we all saw the problem with Fall Guys, that died out very, very quickly. Now, I'm a bit worried that this game, by the time it's got its servers fully up to fledge, by the time it's out of beta, it's then going to be stacked right up against Halo, and I'm not sure it's going to compete. I hope it does because more competition is good, but that is the worry. Now, they have had bugs along the way, such as losing your progression, but it's all been temporary and it's all been saved. And the best thing about Splitgate, I can say, is their communication is very, very clear. When you're playing a game that's in beta, in early access, when you're playing a game that's not quite finished and you're wanting to look at the progress, the most reassuring thing you can see as a consumer is that the developers actually care. So doing these live updates and these live Q&As, just like we saw with the Gears 5, it's very, very reassuring now having experienced a game that does exactly this, had a poor launch, does a load of dev streams to explain things. The cold, harsh reality is words are meaningless, sadly. Words can be reassuring, words can be calming, words can buy you some time, but ultimately at the end of the day, at some point the multiplayer is going to have to open back up, it's going to have to be ready, and it's going to have to be a full-on proper game that builds its audience up and its hype to stand on its own when Halo and other games are released. Now, I'm not saying Splitgate is designed to topple Halo or go up against it, but the reality is the people that like Halo Portal-style gameplay will play Infinite, and most people only sink time into one game these days. So for Splitgate, these words are brilliant. I love the clear communication, and I love the fact that everything is so well explained and it's so fast and snappy on the updates on Twitter. But again, having experienced all of these words from previous franchises that don't end up following through on their words, for the moment, I love the words, I love the positivity and the excitement, and I'm glad that the game has got life breathed back into it. But we're going to have to judge the product when the product is released, because I've seen this time and time again. Developers will say they're doing things, we're fixing this, and it never gets done. So for now, I will say a big props to Splitgate. You're doing a fantastic job, but we've got to nail that next launch, because if the next soft launch happens and the servers are down, people might just walk away and decide to play Halo when that releases and play the alphas and the betas and play other games. Now, you can see that on Steam, the game has been well received. 7,000 positive, 21,000 very positive. It's certainly grown in popularity, and I think rightly so. It's a fun game with a high skill gap. It's free to play and it's cross-play. It ticks all of the boxes you're looking for in a game, and that is why the player numbers have jumped so dramatically from borderline flatlining to shooting right up. Ultimately, like Shroud said, after an hour or two of fighting people in an arena with no sort of side objectives, like you've got the Warzone squad buybacks, you've got the incoming drops, you've got loadouts, you've got all of these sort of mini objectives inside of these new games, that ultimately an arena shooter that is based purely on mechanical skill and outplay, for a lot of people, even though they say they want skilled games, They don't actually play arena shooters because, again, the experience after a couple of hours gets boring. So the thing that Splitgate have really got to manage for me is they've got to make the arena feel very, very fun. Portals are going to add some replayability and some mastery to the game for sure, but they've really got to nail that gameplay loop, because if people are going to get bored after an hour or two, they're going to start to leave. I'm intrigued to see how it will go on to grow. I know there's a lot of people from the Gears of War community making channels, doing really well with viewership, and I'm really pleased for them. I'm a little bit more hesitant because I've seen a lot of games come to fame and die off very quickly, and I'm just taking a step back and just having a look at the game from the outside. I think it's a cool, fun, unique game, but we're going to have to try get over that hurdle of, can the arena shooter genre last in today's gaming market? So this was your first quick look at Splitgate and kind of the early thoughts and feelings of some streamers, and some thoughts and feelings from myself, as well as some news. If you enjoyed that, please do give it a thumbs up, a like and a comment, and consider subscribing. And have a look around the channel. There's everything from tech videos to benchmarks to shoe reviews to rants to gameplay highlights to montages. We're a big variety channel. We cover a lot of stuff, so check it out.